You bought the step tracker. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe you bought it for yourself after a doctor's visit where the numbers crept up, and you actually used it. You started walking the neighborhood after dinner, the same loop most nights, past the same houses, the same dog barking at the same fence. You watched the little ring close. Some nights the watch told you you'd burn 300–400 calories, and for a moment you felt something you hadn't felt in a while, like you were finally doing the thing everyone kept telling you to do. And then you stepped on the scale, and it didn't move. Not the first week. You told yourself, fine, it's early. Not the second week either. By the third, you started doing the quiet math people do at 45, at 50, at 52. Maybe you're not walking far enough, maybe not fast enough. Maybe, and this is the thought that actually stings, maybe you're just the kind of person whose body doesn't respond anymore. Maybe the problem is you. And here's the cruel part. It isn't just the walking. You already cut out the nightly glass of wine. You swapped the bread, you're eating less than your own kids at dinner, and somehow still watching the waistband get tighter. You did the responsible adult things, all of them, and the body just didn't cooperate. So the story writes itself. If I'm doing everything right and nothing's changing, the broken thing must be me. I want to say this clearly before anything else. It isn't you. It isn't your effort, and it isn't your willpower. The reason all that walking didn't melt the fat off the way the internet promised has almost nothing to do with how hard you tried. It has to do with a piece of your own biology that quietly rewrote the rules somewhere in the last decade, a system your body runs whether or not you ever knew it was there. But to see it, we have to start with a lie you've been told your whole life. The lie is beautifully simple. It says your body is a bank account. Calories in, calories out. Every step you take is a withdrawal. Walk a mile, spend 100 coins. Walk more, spend more. And the balance, the fat, comes down. Clean, fair, mechanical. If that were true, your after-dinner loop would have worked. It didn't. So the model is wrong. Not slightly wrong. Wrong in a way that changes everything about how you understand your own body after 40. Here's the first crack. That number on your watch, the 300 or 400, it's mostly fiction. Fitness trackers are famously generous with their calorie estimates, and the real cost of a mile of walking is far smaller than almost anyone guesses. For most people, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 calories, about what's in a banana. Your whole heroic evening loop, the one that left you a little sweaty and quietly proud, may have cost your body a piece of fruit. Think about what that means. You'd have to walk that loop again and again and again just to erase a single indulgent meal, and nobody has that kind of time or that kind of knees at 50. The whole just walk it off advice was built on numbers that were never real to begin with. That alone stings, but it is not the real story. Because even if the watch were perfectly accurate, even if you could measure every last calorie that walk truly burned, the fat still would not come off the way the bank account model swears it must. And that is the part almost nobody explains to you. Because your body is not a bank account. Your body is more like a household living on a fixed budget, a household with one very nervous accountant, and he has exactly one job, one obsession. Do not let this family run out of money. So when you started spending more on walking, that accountant did something you never saw, never felt, and never agreed to. He didn't clap. He didn't celebrate the exercise. He looked at the new spending, frowned, and quietly began cutting costs everywhere else in the house. What did he cut? That is the whole secret, and it explains not just the walking, it explains almost every frustrating thing your body has done since the day you turned 40.
Here's what the accountant cut. Over days and weeks, your body began spending less energy on everything you don't consciously control. Your resting metabolism dipped a little. You fidgeted less without noticing. You took the elevator you'd normally skip. Scientists call all that invisible daily movement NEAT, and after you add exercise, it quietly shrinks. Your body even gets more efficient at the walk itself. And underneath it all, your appetite nudges up, just enough that the extra handful here and the fuller plate there erase the deficit before you ever feel hungry. Add it up, and a huge share of what you burned never becomes lost fat at all. In one controlled trial, nearly half the participants clawed back a large chunk of their exercise energy this way, silently, with no idea it was happening. Researchers call this the constrained energy model, and it was cracked open by one of the strangest studies you'll ever hear about. Scientists went to Tanzania to measure the Hadza, hunter-gatherers who walk miles every day, digging, climbing, carrying, hunting. People who make your after-dinner loop look like a nap. Researchers expected them to burn dramatically more energy than a desk-bound Westerner. They didn't. Adjusted for body size, the Hadza burned roughly the same total energy per day as people who sit in offices. Roughly the same. Read that again because it rearranges everything. Extreme daily activity did not add up to a bigger daily burn. The body has a ceiling it defends, and it defends it by cutting quietly somewhere else. Exactly what happened to you on your evening walk. You weren't failing at the math. The math was never real. Now the twist that should lift the last of this blame off your shoulders. You probably assumed this got worse at 40 because your metabolism crashed. Everyone says it. But in 2021, one of the largest studies of human energy ever attempted, over 6,000 people, from newborns to age 95, found something almost no one believes at first. Your metabolism, pound for pound, does not meaningfully slow in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. It holds remarkably steady from about age 20 all the way to 60. There is no midlife crash. They couldn't even find a menopause dip in the data. So, if your furnace didn't slow down, why does everything feel so different after 40? Two quieter things. First, your body composition drifts. Somewhere in your 30s and 40s, muscle gradually gives ground to fat unless something pushes back. And muscle is the more metabolically busy tissue, so the same body slowly becomes a slightly different engine even while the per-pound rate holds. Second, that thrifty accountant was always there, but in your 20s you had margin to hide his cuts. At 50, with a thinner buffer, that same compensation finally shows up on the scale, and it feels like betrayal. It isn't. It's a body doing exactly what it evolved to do, protect you from starving in a world you never will. So, what does this mean for your walk? Not that it's pointless, the opposite. This is understanding, not a prescription, and I'm not here to hand you a plan. But that walk was never worthless just because the scale ignored it. Walking does extraordinary things the scale cannot see. For your heart, your blood sugar, your joints, your sleep, your mood, your aging brain. Its real value was never trapped inside that fake number on your wrist. The tracker lied about the calories. It could not lie about how you felt on the way home. The only real mistake was the story, the one that turned a good habit into a monthly disappointment. A quick, honest note. This channel is for general education, not medical or weight loss advice, and every body is different. Talk to your own doctor before changing how you eat, move, or live. So, the next time your watch flashes a triumphant number and the scale shrugs the next morning, you'll know who moved the money. Which raises the real question. If walking barely dents the fat, what does? And why does your body guard belly fat so much more fiercely after 40 than anywhere else? That's where we're headed next.